Hello, welcome to Space of Love, and thank you again for your continued participation in Awaken Your Creative Spirit. In this 30-minute session, we'll be exploring some creative expression exercises. And for these, you'll need to have access to a journal and pen if you prefer to write, or a computer if you prefer to type, or a recording device if you prefer to do voice memoing. However it is that you like to enter into a stream of consciousness. And if you're not sure, I suggest you try writing with pen and paper. However, you may find that maybe you can type faster than you can write. And so entering into a stream of consciousness is perhaps easier via typing. Maybe you find it easier verbally to enter into a stream of consciousness and essentially allow words and thoughts to flow. So maybe you prefer to voice memo. So I invite you to explore which of those three options is best for you. The main purpose being that we can enter into a state where we're not encumbered by whatever tool or device we're using. So enter into the one that feels most natural for you. So the theme we're exploring in today's sessions is the alchemy of creative expression. And one of the ways that we can tap into alchemizing and learning and understanding what it is that we have to offer the world in terms of unique gifts and creative expressions, what it is that we are sharing and expressing. Sometimes it can help to include and listen to and learn from the perspectives of others, other people, other humans, other animals, the natural world. How do they see us? How do they receive the gifts and the expressions that we're sharing? Sometimes it can be really easy to get stuck in our own linear or conditioned way of thinking, and we miss the other perspectives that might offer us another clue into what our path is, what our purpose is, what are we creating and why, and what are we sharing most importantly and why. Because every time we create something, we create so that we can share. It's a reciprocity. And so we receive inspiration and perspective from a myriad different sources. And at the same time, we create from those inspirations, from those perspectives, from those ideas and learnings. And then we share what it is that we are creating. We share it with the world. We share it with all aspects of ourselves. And so the practice that we're going to explore today is opening ourselves to new lenses of experience. And we'll do this through a stream of consciousness writing or recording practice, where we start to include the possibility of how others see us and the gifts that we are sharing with this world. So, the very first task, and we're going to have about 5 or 6 minutes where in a moment I'll let you go into a space of stream of consciousness writing or recording or typing. And in stream of consciousness writing, I ask that you try not to let any thoughts get in the way. This is not any writing that anyone needs to see, so it doesn't have to be beautiful or poetic or profound or perfect, but rather everything that comes through, write it or type it or record it with your voice. Everything that comes through, no matter if it makes sense, it might be a complete jumble of words and things that don't seem associated, but essentially we're dumping whatever is in our consciousness, in our brain, and we're letting it spill out onto the paper or into the computer or out through your voice. So I invite you to try to, for each segment of this exercise, you'll have about 5 or 6 minutes to go into stream of consciousness with a prompt that I will give you. And so I invite you to try to just keep going, keep writing or keep speaking or keep typing. Don't stop. Even if what comes out is, I don't know what to write, I'm just doing this, I have no idea what I'm doing, that's okay. Just keep going. Just keep going. Don't stop. And let that stream of consciousness flow through in its own way. And I'll tell you afterwards what we're doing with each of these sort of brain dumps or stream of consciousness flows that we'll be working in. Okay, so number 1, have your pen and paper ready, have your computer ready, or your voice memo device. The number 1 question, I would like you to put yourself in the shoes of one of your most favorite teachers or mentors or benefactors, someone who has really been influential in shaping who you are today, someone whom you really feel a reciprocity with. And so put yourself in the shoes of that person. Maybe even take a moment to close your eyes and to see that person. Maybe you note their name, maybe you hear their voice or sense their presence, however it is that you experience that person in your mind's eye. A teacher, a mentor, a benefactor. And then, in a moment, you'll go into stream of consciousness, writing or recording or typing, from the perspective and the voice of this person as they would speak. I would like you to answer this question as though you were answering it from their perspective about you. What unique gifts and expressions are you sharing with this world, and why? So through the voice and the perspective of this other person, this teacher, this mentor, what unique gifts and creative expressions are you sharing with this world, and why? Go. Welcome back. Pause and simply notice how that felt to express something about you from the perspective and the voice of someone who has been influential in guiding parts of your path. Don't worry about what you wrote. We'll look at that later. Okay, second exercise. Now put yourself in the shoes, in the perspective, in the experience of a parent or a guardian. You choose whoever naturally arises in this moment. Don't try to fight with yourself about who to choose. Whoever arises in your presence, a parent or a guardian, see them, note their name, feel their presence, perhaps experience being them for a moment. And now in their perspective, writing about you or voicing about you, how they would express in their own voice about you. Answer this question, stream of consciousness. What unique creative gifts and expressions are you sharing with this world and why? Go. Don't stop. Let it flow. Okay, welcome back. Perhaps pause a moment, close your eyes and notice how that felt. Notice what it felt like to step into another perspective and observe yourself from that place. And in this next exercise, we're going to take this a little further. I want you to now embody the perspective of a tree, a plant, an insect, an animal, someone, something, or someone of the plant, animal, or insect, or bird, or fish world who has had the opportunity to observe you closely. Maybe this is a tree that grows just outside your home. Maybe you have a dog in the house. Maybe there's a bird that visits your window every morning. Maybe there's a flower you've paid special attention to on your walks to work. So take a moment, maybe close your eyes and just see what arises naturally. This plant, animal, insect, bird, fish, this creature who has had the opportunity to observe you closely without you really even noticing that you're being observed. And now from their perspective, from this really interesting objective perspective, speaking about you, but in the voice of that other being, answer the question once again. What unique gifts and expressions are you sharing with this world, and why? Go. Okay, welcome back. Pause. Perhaps close your eyes and feel in your body the residues of the experience of seeing yourself from the perspective of a non-human being. Imbibing their voice. And now finally, I would like you to adopt the perspective of a stranger, someone whom perhaps you could imagine has just met you and spent 5 minutes with you, and that's it. They went on their way. Maybe you make up a character in your life. You could imagine that you were walking down the street and you just so happened to pass by someone who said hello, you spoke a little chat together, and then you both went on your ways. So this person really knows nothing about you. A perfect stranger who's just had a few minutes with you. And from their completely objective perspective, but only having experienced what you project instantly to others, from their perspective and in their voice, that you can conjure up a new, unique voice for this person. What might they say about what gifts and expressions you are creatively sharing with this world, and why? Go. Okay, welcome back. Let's once again pause, maybe close the eyes. Notice how it felt to observe and reflect upon you from the perspective of a stranger. Those instant clues that you put out into the world about yourself. And so you might ask why we're doing this. This next part of our session is where we start to search for clues. And so I invite you to, in a moment, whether you've written down, if you've written down by hand, you can go through and underline things or highlight. If you've typed, you might highlight and bold things. If you voice recorded, you might take your time to listen back and then write notes about what you hear as you listen back. And so I'm going to offer you the purpose of this exercise, and then we'll close this session, but I invite you to carry on with this part of the exercise for as long as you need and as long as you prefer, and maybe come back to it and back to it. And so this next part of the exercise, as we close our session, I invite you to sift through all that you've written or typed or expressed verbally and recorded. And as you do, from each of these perspectives, each of these lenses that we've explored, go through and note or underline if there are any themes, any words that keep coming up again and again and again, especially descriptive words. These might provide an interesting clue into what it is that perhaps your creative medicine or your creative gifts are. It might provide a clue as to what your purpose is in sharing these creative gifts and what that path might be. Perhaps there's something you haven't really seen, something new, an insight, a thought, a word about yourself and your creative expression, your unique gifts that hasn't really come through to you in the past. And maybe from the perspective of another being, they were able to provide an insight into what is already inherently in you, just waiting to be awakened, waiting to be uncovered. So as you go through and you explore, you might underline words, you might note words that reappear, themes or thoughts that reappear. And then I invite you to take all these perspectives and all the clues that all these perspectives have provided, and now rewrite this from your own perspective, while also including these other perspectives, these other lenses, these other voices. And so rewriting, and you might take 5, 6, 10 minutes even to enter into a stream of consciousness once again, having digested and gone through all this, and maybe you take some time with this, maybe you take a pause and come back to it. But then from your own perspective, I invite you to then write or record, what are the unique creative gifts and expressions that I am sharing with this world, and why? And I really invite you to dig into the why. The what is important, but the why is the most important. The source of the inspiration behind what it is that you are sharing. And the purpose of this exercise is to start to uncover what it is that is wanting to pour through you creatively, what it is that you are ready to express. And trust that when you start to feel the what and the why, the purpose of your sharing in this world, the how will start to naturally reveal itself. But really coming into contact with and becoming intimate with your own why is the sort of precursor for understanding the tools of the how that you will share. So in your own time, after you finish this video, I invite you to go into this process of starting to search for clues in all that you've downloaded from your stream of consciousness, to search for continuous themes that show up from the various voices we've explored, which are really just part of your subconscious being. And then start to express from your own perspective, with the awareness of these wider perspectives, what it is you are sharing with the world and why. What are your gifts? but why are you sharing these gifts with the world? And then let the how start to find its way through if you like, but we don't need to go there yet. And so thank you so much for participating in this exercise, for being brave enough to dare to go into new territories and new understandings and new learnings. And if you have any questions, of course, please reach out to us, please email. And I wish you so much beautiful discovery as you continue this process of exploration, as you continue this exercise. Thank you for your creative expression and your gifts, seen and unseen, including the ones you don't even quite know yet that you are sharing. Thank you.